Live, Laugh, Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live,
Laugh.
Larceny. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny, the show that steals your lunch money and your heart. This is Trevin.
And I'm Amanda. Stealing lunch money, Trevin.
Hey, everybody's got their own petty crime, you know.
That's very true. But this week, Trevin, what is your dreadful dilemma?
So my dreadful dilemma this week actually kind of has to do with my intro of stealing your heart.
Okay.
I have a bit of a heartfelt dilemma here because I think we've all noticed that things have been changing around the world lately. And, you know, I've noticed that a lot of podcasts, that even ones that I agree with in a lot of sense, you know, there's just a lot of negativity going on.
Yeah.
I'm still having my own way of processing and understanding everything that's happening in the world right now, because I think we've all taken different news in different ways, and recent stories I've written have taken cheap shots and little jabs, and you can definitely tell that I'm processing some stuff and kind of working through it. But I will say that when the election happened, I felt very much like the minority when I saw that majority of the people went one way, and it kind of made me feel like there was less empathetic people in the world. And it kind of had me feeling like I was losing hope. But, you know, I have to kind of get past that story and that narrative that we put in our own heads. I still have to kind of find my way back to that hopeful spot that I still believe that majority of the world is good.
Yeah.
When that happened, and even though I did feel that kind of feeling that I was like in the minority there, something told me you need more community. And that is really weird for me because I am hermit through and through. I am a guy who needs his recharge time alone. But there was still just this voice inside of me that said, you need to find your community.
Yeah.
I still thought that was so weird. Anyway, I was watching The Daily Show, and a guy named Robert Putnam was on there. He wrote a book called Bowling Alone, and he talked about this term called social capital. And it's kind of in the same way that just as you can build capital with like your money, you can build capital socially by like the amount of people that you encounter throughout a day or the amount of different opinions that you see throughout the day. Another guy had made a documentary about him, and it's on Netflix right now, and it's called Join or Die.
Oh, is it new?
And they talk a lot about how social capital plays a part in like why countries are sad and like why we don't prosper, you know?
Okay.
Honestly, when he had his interview, I was pretty moved by it. Then I saw the documentary, even more moved by it. And so I've been trying to challenge myself and grow in different ways too. As you guys know, whenever I come up and do a mental health checkup on the show, I'm pretty honest about the things that I'm struggling with. And I like to fail because it teaches me something about myself. I became a musician because I really wanted to be a filmmaker, but I didn't want to like waste other people's time with acting in my dumb shit. So that's why I became a musician, because I was like, I can play my own drums, I can play my own guitar, I can sing my own songs, I can write it, I can produce it. I'll never have to bug another person with my stuff again. Now I'm podcasting. I'm able to keep a lot of those same skills. The only person I really bother is you. That's been great. But when I made the Halloween special, I had to work with a bunch of different people. I worked with all of our friends in the indie community, and I worked with our other friends on being the podcast clips and whatnot. It felt very uncomfortable for me because I had to manage a project that had a lot of moving parts, and I had to deal with a lot of different people. And it made me so uncomfortable that I thought, I haven't felt this way in a long time. Maybe I should do more of it.
Look at you.
As much as I wanted to get away from it.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of things I didn't like. It's really hard to tell somebody that you look up to, that you're working with, and you're just like, oh, I got to check in on them and remind them to get me their thing. I don't want to be a bother, but I also want them to kind of hurry it up.
Yeah.
That's a skill that I am probably too polite for sometimes, and I need to get better at. So I thought I was getting away from working with other people for a while and I was going to be able to recharge my batteries. But some different things have changed and we're about to embark on taking a bigger leap with the show. We're going to be doing more with our social media, which you and I both have been kind of burnt out on social media. So I kind of started thinking that we need to find our community within the show.
Which we have a great one.
We have a great one.
So many great people listen. We love you all.
Yes, we have a great community with the show. But for the 4 years of doing the show, I have shouldered so much of the work to make sure they can go. Like while you were pregnant and just, raising your kids and whatnot, I was just like, we are not going to slow production down. It's going to keep going. And that just became me throwing more on my back. And sometimes you've caught me in different forms of burnout, which have changed how I've done different stories, which I think is so fun because the show is kind of like my journal in a way when I look back and I'm just like, oh, I remember when I was going through some shit right in that one. But I decided that I need to quit shouldering all the work on myself. Hopefully, a lot of you can kind of sense yourself in what I'm saying here. But for 4 years, I've been working very, very, very hard. And then a lot of things in the show haven't really gone further. No matter how much of my own coal I want to throw in the fire, it's not really doing what I need. And I kind of thought about this whole community approach and all these other things I want to do to try to maybe find a way to help people throughout this time. I also realized that maybe I need to grow the inner community of this show into a bigger team.
Right.
So we have brought in our friend A-Line.
Yes!
A-Line from Moline, to all the people who made fun of me on TikTok for saying Moline wrong.
Oh.
But I had to do it for the rhyme, okay?
Right.
A-Line is going to come in and do art and social posts for us. She's also great with doing stickers and will probably help come up with merch ideas and stuff like that. And then we also brought in another listener friend of ours named Jess. And Jess is going to be doing video for us because we are going to start ramping up these socials and hopefully putting a lot more videos on YouTube as well.
That is the goal.
My goal here is if anybody's a fan of And That's Why We Drink and everybody loves Eva, this is going to be like our two-headed Eva or anybody else. If you have a show and you just know the producer's name, because our show has so much production behind it, I want A-Line and Jess both to be a big part of the team and help us be a bigger juggernaut of creativity going forward.
Ooh, juggernaut of creativity.
Oh, yes. So this is all leading up to my way of trying to build a community to help the show is I'm going to allow it to be a bigger team, which means I have to let go of a little bit of control and focus on my managing skills. But I think that's going to free up my mental space to keep coming up with more fresh ideas and keep the creativity going for the show.
Yes, in every aspect of life, not just work, but even raising kids, in my experience, having a community in every aspect of life is such an important thing. And I think we're both honestly just grateful that we've even had people that wanted to be a part.
Yeah.
We know we have a lot of support and love out there, but to want to be a part of a team of something is a whole nother level. So I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I want to really find a way to work smarter and not harder. And we have really big plans for 2025. And that's what I want most of my focus to go to next year. So
yeah, I'm
just excited that we're taking this leap. And we have a new path that I think is actually going to do big things for us.
Hell yes. Cheers to finding community.
To community.
Here, here. Well, Trevin. I also have a dreadful dilemma. And like I was telling you before we recorded, as yours is very heartfelt and well thought out, mine is a silly little recurring situation that is happening in my life. And I can't wait to tell you all about it.
The last recurring situation that you had a problem with was that person trying to scam you in the grocery store parking lot, I feel like.
Oh my God. This is a different situation, but it also occurs for me while I'm in the car. So I don't know why people are trying to come for me when I'm just trying to drive and do things. But what's going on now, and we're going back, you guys, we're going back to the school pickup line.
Oh no.
Follow me?
I hate the school pickup line.
I know that I've talked about it a couple times in the past, but this is a totally different issue. So the way that it works, for those who don't know or didn't hear me talk about it or whatever, in the school pickup line from my daughter's elementary school. Everybody lines up. It's like this gigantic, long-ass line with all these cars. You can either come from one side of the school or another side, but there is only one entrance. So it's like two cars coming from two different sides of the street needing to turn into the same entrance, right? And there's lines both directions. And then we each kind of just take turns, one car in. It's like an unspoken bond between the parents. Like, you go, then I'll go, then you go, unless somebody's turning left and then maybe the other people are going to sneak in. It's a whole thing.
Ugh, yeah.
Anyway, for the drop-off line, we don't have any contact with teachers until we make it all the way up to the front, and then a teacher will open the door and get your kid and they go in. On the pickup line, the way they do it is they have someone that comes out to the very end of the entrance of the school, and they're texting all the names of the kids. And you either have to have it on a sign or you just verbally say it to them, whatever. That way they can text the people that are in the gym with the kids, and then they bring them out.
Wow, that seems like such a strange operation.
It's like a whole thing, okay?
There's got to be a better way.
Yeah, so they're texting and then whatever. For all of last year and all of this year so far, it's only been the one gal texting doing it. And it's worked out fine, in my opinion. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but it's been fine. But we got a new girl. She's great, too. She's totally fine. She's picking it up, doing the texting. She's not the dreadful part of it.
That's good. I was afraid she was going to be dropping the ball here.
No. The new girl is great. 10 out of 10. Would recommend. She's a great little texter. Gets all the names, and it's fine. But with the addition of this cute new girl, has been this male teacher.
Oh, God.
That has been, after school, putting on a vest, running to the beginning of the entrance, like further even than the gal with the phone is. And he's been trying to insert himself into a situation where he is not needed, where he's like guiding the traffic. Oh. You guys, it is like so uncomfortable. And like, there's been multiple times where Jordan, my husband, and I are going to pick up Lila together, and we're both in the car just like talking mad shit because he's so not needed, and he's bossing us around. And it's like, the parents have been doing this, like, we know what we're doing, and he's like, no, you gotta stop. No. And he's like making it even more complicated by even being there. And my theory is that
fragile male ego.
I think not only does he like having some power and authority or whatever, I think he's trying to impress the new texting gal.
Oh, you think?
Yes. He puts on his vest. He tries to flex his little biceps as he's like bossing us all around. That's my theory. Jordan doesn't agree with me. My theory is that he's trying to impress the texting gal, and he's like showing his dominance, like, I'm in charge of all these parents while I'm pointing. Look at this muscle. That's the only reason I can think why he's doing this.
He's like, all right, traffic, you go east, and there's a great gym that direction. I would know.
But it's so unnecessary, and he's so annoying, and I just wish he would quit it.
I hate that so much. I hate when people insert themselves, male jokes aside, people who just insert themselves in the situations because it makes them feel important or something.
Yes.
Oh, I hate that, because most people are too polite or just set in like trying to get out of the situation that we enable that without even meaning to. Because every time you follow this dude's direction, he's just like, yep, I'll be back here tomorrow because people are listening.
I know.
And I hate that so much.
So that's my dilemma.
Well, he sounds like a silly little goober.
He is a silly little goober.
Maybe he'll get his date.
Maybe, but I don't think so, honestly.
Well, you know what's not a little goober?
What?
It's these killer facts we're about to share.
Hello?
We've traced the facts. They're coming from inside the house.
And I'm going first this week. And I had such a big narrative plan. I was going to go with the whole finding community sort of thing. And I wanted to find some sort of a community fact. But you know what? There just aren't any.
I mean, that doesn't really sound like a thing that would be on the internet that often.
No, I mean, there's no money in finding community. But I will say, definitely watch that documentary if you want some great facts that will actually kind of inspire you.
Ooh.
But I do want to talk to you about a vegetable, which is way more exciting than community.
Okay.
I want to talk about Brussels sprouts.
Are you a fan?
So my dad was always a big fan of them.
So was my dad. And both of their names are Dennis.
Why is this happening? My dad always ate them, and I wasn't a huge fan. It was okay. But right before we moved into this house, I had them a little bit because I was trying to have more than just broccoli and cauliflower because those are the easiest ones for me to just eat a lot of when I'm trying to keep my vegetables up.
Yeah.
But did you know that Brussels sprouts have gotten tastier over the years? Now, I have felt this way. I feel like they have gotten better. But at the same time, I thought maybe I was just imagining it because they say that your taste buds change like every 7 years or something.
Something like that.
Something like that. But I came across this article and it is telling me that Brussels sprouts have gotten better.
Okay, explain.
So coming to you from betterhomesandgardens.com.
Better Homes and Garden, I love this.
Why Brussels sprouts no longer taste bitter. This is actually from October 2nd of this year, so this is a new article. Years of traditional plant breeding have made this unfairly disliked vegetable tastier. Many of us who grew up with Brussels sprouts at the dinner table, especially around the holidays, remember them as a bitter veggie with an unpleasant scent. Thankfully, that is a thing of the past, as Brussels sprouts have become something of a culinary superstar found on the menus of trendy restaurants. Much of the vegetable's meteoric rise in popularity has to do with a major makeover of its flavor. So what gives Brussels sprouts a bitter taste? While it's true that your taste buds change over time and that the way you prepare Brussels sprouts makes a difference, the ones you may have been served as a kid likely had higher levels of various chemical compounds known as glucosinolates.
Yep, that's it.
Glucosinolates. These compounds are what give sprouts and other cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, and cabbage a bitter flavor. Scientists believe these compounds could make the plants less appealing to insects and other creatures that try to eat them. But why do Brussels sprouts taste less bitter to some people? Interestingly, not everyone has the genes for tasting that bitterness from glucosinolates, much like the fact that cilantro tastes like soap to some but not to others. If you didn't mind loading up your plate with sprouts as a kid and have never noticed any bitterness, you may have your DNA, namely the TASR38 gene. Wow.
That sounded like R2D2 or something.
It looks like a Star Wars character name on paper, too. There's 2 different genes that allow you to taste it or not taste it. But the new generation of Brussels sprouts, even if you can detect that bitter taste, most of the Brussels sprouts available today are varieties with lower levels of those off-putting chemicals. Not to worry, these are not GMO Brussels sprouts produced through gene splicing and dicing between completely unrelated species, such as purple tomatoes. Instead, the better-tasting varieties came about through years of painstaking traditional plant breeding. After Dutch scientists identified exactly what made these vegetables bitter in the 90s, seed companies in the Netherlands began searching through their extensive collections of older varieties of Brussels sprouts for ones that have a lower concentration of glucosinolates.
Hey, you're getting better each time you say it. I have a confession.
Yes.
I've always kind of liked Brussels sprouts.
I really don't mind them.
But they do taste bitter. It's
Yeah.
not like I ate them as a kid and was like, these aren't bitter at all. But I didn't mind them. I really liked the way my dad cooked them too. Maybe that was it, but
I grew up in a family that really loved to just cover them in butter, and that always helped. And then when I got older, as I did it myself, I just was too lazy to waste all my butter on one thing.
yeah, I gotta savor that butter.
Yeah.
No, my dad used to caramelize them and like fry them up with like good seasoning and onions.
Oh,
So good.
my mom does a special Brussels sprout thing right now, usually on Thanksgiving. That's usually really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan, but I am relieved to hear that they are breeding them in a less bitter way.
Yeah, they said every time they breed one that has less of that, they just crossbreed it with more that do less, and then eventually they're just trying to weed out that bitterness.
One day we are all going to be licking a Brussels sprout lollipop.
Thanks to all that breeding.
Wow. Well, that was quirky, Trevin. I also have a quirky little segment here. Neither one of these are too heavy or spooky,
Yeah.
They're just a good little quirky fact, I'd say, about both.
Which I think we kind of need these days. Get back to our quirky roots.
Yes.
What's up with all these heavy feelings?
God damn. So I have a killer fact, and it is coming from Ripley's.com. You guys know me. You know that I love me some Ripley's, okay?
I need to make a Ripley's alarm for you. anytime you do a Ripley's fact, you just pull it. It's like,
I would love it.
yeah, Amanda's Ripley's alarm.
There we go. We need one. So I want to talk to you guys about a historic space voyage that was recently done by a hamster.
Whoa. I mean, I've heard of like the dogs and the monkeys, but a hamster?
Yes. And it's recent, like I said. There is a phenomenal article. I got great info from on Ripley's, and it was titled How a Hamster is Helping Pioneer Space Tourism. And it was written by Ingrid Barnett. Thank you so much, Ingrid.
Get it, Ingrid?
You are very iconic for covering this, okay? On June 9th, 2022, one brave hamster did the unprecedented. He took a ride on a flying balloon from the city of Okinawa, Japan, into the outer stratosphere, which I had to do some research, like what is the outer stratosphere? I looked up a whole graphic, and it actually is pretty impressive that he just went in a regular old balloon.
Yeah, this is already a plot twist because I thought you were going to tell me that they gave him a little rocket and sent him up in space, but now you're telling me it's a balloon story.
A balloon.
Okay.
So, before this, accessing extraterrestrial heights in a balloon hadn't been done before. So, I do have a couple bullet points about the facts of this flight. I figured it would just be easier for me to just kind of give you all these facts like this. It was engineered by a company called Iwatani Gaiken. That was probably wrong, okay? I tried to look up the pronunciation and it's just the name of a company in Japan, and I don't know. I don't know what it was named after, and I don't know how to pronounce it, okay?
You sounded more confident than I sounded with glucosinolates, so.
I'm good at sounding confident, even when I'm not sometimes. So, it is a Japanese startup company that develops high-altitude gas balloons for space tourism. So basically, this company is wanting to be able to do space tourism with people.
In these balloons?
I don't know.
Oh.
But they want to test out these different ways of traveling that high with animals, of course, before they send humans up there. But yes, I think that's their main reason for doing the experiment, which is like a little annoying that it's just to make money off people flying to space, but whatever. It's a cute journey nonetheless. So the balloon reached a height just over 14 miles above the planet, which honestly didn't sound that high to me at first when I was thinking about it.
A lot.
But it really is like stacked up, you know? The balloon traveled at a speed of 14 miles per hour, so it didn't go very fast. And the hamster had a very cozy little setup. The hamster's plastic cabin measured 23 inches high by 20 inches in diameter and was cylindrical in shape. This design allowed the cabin's internal levels of pressure, oxygen, and heat to remain relatively constant. The hamster could be seen comfortably snoozing during its journey. There is a cute-ass photo. I will show it to all of you. Perhaps they'll send up other species until it's safe for human travels in the future. But one thing I could not find, and I looked in other articles other than this one to try and find out. I want to know how they got the fur baby back safely, because all I could find is that the hamster was recovered safely from the sea of Japan's Miyako Island. Did they have it on a string and they just like pulled it down into the sea, or like did they pop the how did he end up in the ocean? I don't know.
I wonder if it's because it's a gas powered balloon.
That's
so
true. Maybe
just
they just turned
it down
and then he just landed in the water. Oh, and the other bone I have to pick is that this legendary traveler of a hamster was not given a name.
I thought you were going to say he had a stupid name.
Was not given any name.
My gosh.
Name. Why?
How do you just not decide to do that?
The disrespect. I think we should create a petition.
Yeah.
This hamster deserves a name. They are an astronaut.
Yes.
Like, what?
Even if it's just the stratosphere or whatever, that doesn't make you any less of an astronaut, you little hamster dude.
Look how cute that face is. The hamster deserves a name.
I agree. I feel like when they put animals in experiments where they don't expect them to make it, they usually give them a name. So
Yes.
why the hell didn't you just name your little hamster?
I don't know, guys. But one thing I do know is you're about to love these ads.
And welcome back to the story portion of this episode.
Welcome.
This week, I have a story from the news that is from this year, and I've been inspired by a TV show that I love a lot, and let's just see if you all can figure out which one it is.
Oh, you're not going to tell us?
It'll be pretty obvious.
Okay.
So without further ado, this is our last episode before Christmas, so we got to go deep.
I hope you did, Trevin.
So let's just see if we can handle this one, and here we go. The future is terrifying. In a country where the majority just voted for a campaign promising to rewind the clock, it's clear I'm not alone in feeling this way. From AI duping our parents into believing anything they see, to Elon Musk wielding near-divine access to our nation's information, the dystopian world of Black Mirror is starting to feel less like a cautionary tale and more like an eerily accurate prophecy. If we stop to look around, we might realize the water in our proverbial pot has already started to boil. We live our lives through social media, a carefully curated, algorithm-driven gallery of friends, opinions, and ads, all designed to reduce our humanity into neat little numbers. The information we're shown isn't what we choose, but what someone else decides is worth our time, trapping many of us in a manufactured reality. And then there are self-checkouts. Don't get me wrong, I love avoiding human interaction as much as the next person. But seriously, if you're going to steal people's jobs, the least you can do is actually work. The price of technological progress is death by 1,000 inconveniences. We humans adapt, forget the problems of yesterday, and end up just as programmed as the machines we can no longer control. How far are we from a world where ads pause when you look away, only to resume once they've recaptured your attention? Or a DMV that's nothing but one giant self-checkout line. Excuse me, the scanner won't read my card.
Then that makes you an illegal citizen. Please follow me through this creepy door.
It starts with streaming services cramming in as many car commercials as network television, and ends with the 1% corralling us into prisons run by their robot armies.
You deactivated your Twitter. Prepare to die.
For this December story, I'm going to tell you about one such inconvenience of technological advancement, and the creeping danger it represents for us all. Because let's face it, we've been in the Black Mirror all along. Officer Cabbage Patch leaned back, his thick aviator sunglasses shielding the world from his weary gaze, while the Arizona sun seared his bulletproof vest to his skin. The sporadic crackle of static from the police radio punctuated the quiet on a nearly deserted downtown Phoenix street. Recent construction had left the road emptier than usual, ideal for a quick breather or snagging a higher ticket payout from the rare speeding driver. Cabbage Patch thought back to the morning's team meeting.
All right, ladies. Line up.
Chief Nancy had a way of commanding attention with his imposing, hyper-masculine presence, barking orders like a drill sergeant.
This station's in jeopardy, folks. Budgets aren't what they used to be, and let's not forget, we had to buy that battle tank for the county last year. Even after cutting all your benefits and raises, we're still struggling to keep the lights on.
But Chief Nancy wasn't one to let doom and gloom linger. He squared his shoulders and rallied the troops.
But we can't let the liberal agenda to defund the police hold us back. We'll get out there and write more tickets. First person to hit 50 tickets gets a pizza party with a partner of their choice.
The room erupted. Some officers were practically losing their minds over pizza toppings, while others were already calling dibs on the best places for speeders.
Look out, I-10.
And don't forget, it's our big summer blowout promotion. If you sign someone up for a police station credit card, you'll get an entry into the retirement lottery.
Cabbage Patch rolled down his window and hawked a law enforcement loogie onto the asphalt. While some officers embraced the freewheeling lifestyle of shooting radar on I-10 or profiling people stumbling out of bars, he knew he had the smarter strategy, camping out near a construction zone. Cabbage Patch grinned. Construction zones were like Halo maps. Find a good corner and rack up the wins. The little orange sign was his power-up, turning minor tickets into major paydays. Sure, this wasn't exactly what he had imagined when he signed up to be an officer of the law, but he couldn't deny it. He was good at it. With his ass firmly nestled into the police cruiser's leather, Cabbage Patch settled in for the long haul. He reclined the seat back a notch, the first step in what would inevitably lead to a full laydown. But before he could continue his steady descent into an afternoon nap, something shocking jolted him upright. There, creeping eastbound in the westbound lane, was a strange vehicle. It obeyed every traffic law to the letter, except for the small detail of driving the wrong direction. Officer Cabbage Patch could have shit a brick and built a house. A wrong direction in a construction zone? It was almost too perfect. This ticket alone would cover a full day of binging Netflix. With the precision of an action star, he snapped his seat back to the upright position and cautiously eased the cruiser forward at an entirely appropriate speed. As the officer closed in, it became clear this wasn't just any car, with bulky black cameras mounted on every fender and what looked like a silly little hat on top. It was unmistakably a product of Waymo, the driverless car ride-hailing app. Approaching a red light in the construction zone, Cabbage Patch flipped on a siren. The autonomous vehicle obediently rolled through the red light, then glided into a nearby parking lot and came to a gentle stop.
My God! It's gone haywire!
The officer blurted, grabbing a CB radio.
I've got an unmanned vehicle kind of taken off on me. It's a Waymo car.
As his cruiser inched forward at a crawl, perfectly mirroring the speed of the calm, self-driving vehicle, his heart pounded wildly, in stark contrast to the serene scene before him. Skipping the time it would take to grab his gun, Officer Cabbage Patch stepped out of his cruiser and approached what he considered to be the driver's side door of the strange vehicle.
Hello,
he said, addressing the car with the same caution he might use with a suspicious package. After a moment, the window rolled down, slowly revealing no one. Instead, a pre-recorded voice emanated from the speakers.
Hello, please hold while I connect you with a help representative.
Leaning heavily on the white vehicle, Cabbage Patch furrowed his brow at the strange soundtrack. The groove was decent, sure, but the percussionists sounded like they'd been given way too much creative freedom.
I like to play the drums. I'm a cute little drumming boy.
Before he could process this fever dream scenario, a voice from behind him startled him.
I couldn't help but wonder over morbid curiosity.
Said a man, stepping out of the shadows.
I thought there was a passenger or something.
Cabbage Patch turned, momentarily relieved to have someone to share in this bizarre moment.
You know this construction zone? Eastbound traffic in the westbound lanes. It's real bad.
Oh!
The man exclaimed, nodding at the officer's tale of heroism.
Yeah.
Cabbage Patch continued, his tone dipping into pride.
So I light it up and it just takes off into the intersection.
The two men chuckled together as the absurd jazz music carried on in the background.
I'm gonna play my booty as a drum. Doo-doo-doo.
Hey there, you've reached Waymo's help desk. This is Darcy. To whom do I owe the pleasure?
The man beside Cabbage Patch gave a polite nod, as if excusing himself, and disappeared back into the shadows.
Hey! This is Officer Benjamin Cabbage Patch.
This call will be recorded for quality purposes.
Yeah, that's fine.
And my boss is listening in on the other line. Pants off. It's a personal choice, unrelated to the call, but we're obligated to disclose it for insurance purposes.
I don't care what his pants are doing. Your car drove into opposing traffic in a construction zone, which is real bad.
That's not how the company sees it, Mr. Cumberbatch. The computer hasn't logged a faulty code in months. Certainly not in the last 24 hours. I'm just intake, but I can create a ticket for our claims assurance team to process.
A claims ticket? Who am I even writing this ticket for? Didn't you say your boss is on the line? Sir, I have a complaint.
Shh, he's shy. He's listening, but he doesn't want to talk. Now, can I create that claims ticket for you?
With an exasperated sigh, Officer Cabbage Patch mentally buckled in for what promised to be a painfully long call to create a claim.
Sir?
Yeah.
Great. Now, that was Cobblepot? Like the Batman villain?
The officer's eye twitched as he began the painstaking task of spelling out his name over and over, once even phonetically.
C as in couch?
The call dragged on, stretching time into an eternity of hold music and repeated clarifications.
Huh?
Communication wasn't exactly his strong suit, but Officer Cabbage Patch knew one thing. Getting this ticket processed hinged on completing the claim intake. And nothing, not a long day with rider support, not even Darcy's unprofessional tone, was going to stop him from serving justice and earning his shot at the pizza party with a partner of his choice. On June 19th, 2024, Phoenix police conducted a traffic stop on a fully autonomous Waymo vehicle driving eastbound in the westbound lane through a construction zone. The driverless taxi had no passengers aboard. When the officer turned on his lights, the Waymo car reportedly pulled through a red light before parking in a nearby lot. According to body cam footage obtained by azcentral.com, the officer approached the car's driver's side window, which rolled down to connect him with Waymo rider support. A curious bystander soon joined the scene,
I couldn't help but come over, just out of morbid curiosity.
and the officer explained the situation. recounting how the car had driven against traffic and, quote, took off into the intersection after being signaled to stop.
You know the construction here? Yeah. It was eastbound in the westbound lanes, which is real bad.
Waymo Rider Support responded by offering to review the vehicle's footage, provide insurance detail, and dispatch a field technician. Shortly after, a Waymo employee arrived to take over the situation. Dispatch notes for the traffic stop conclude with, unable to issue citation to computer. News outlets described the incident using dramatic phrases like freak out and haywire, drawing more attention to the story. Further investigation by The Verge revealed additional details. Waymo spokesperson Chris Benelli told The Verge in an email that the vehicle, which had no passengers, drove into the oncoming lane when it, quote, encountered inconsistent construction signage, and that, quote, it was blocked from navigating back to the correct lane. It stayed in the oncoming lane for about 30 seconds, Benelli said, before the officer pulled behind the car, at which point it drove away from the cop, quote, in an effort to clear the intersection, before pulling into the parking lot where the traffic stop took place. The entire event, he added, lasted approximately 1 minute. Under Arizona law, officers can issue traffic citations to autonomous vehicles, but these must be directed to the company that owns them. A Phoenix police spokesperson described the process as, quote, not feasible. Waymo later told Fox 10 Phoenix that its cars are 3.5 times more likely than human drivers to avoid crashes, and 2.3 times less likely to be involved in police-reported incidents. However, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration was investigating nearly 24 other incidents involving driverless vehicles at the time. Reports have documented incidents where Waymo and competitor Cruise vehicles interfered with emergency responders, and earlier in the year, Waymo recalled some vehicles after one collided with a telephone pole. As you can see, the future is as hollow and unfeeling as the synthetic comfort of a computer-generated voice. Each scripted reassurance, delivered through circuits in a plastic speaker, is indistinguishable from the last, indifferent to your fears, your circumstances, or your urgency. We as individuals are left to make sense of it all, reluctant interpreters with a dwindling vocabulary. When we step outside our own carefully curated realities, we're quick to condemn those who interpret the world differently, as if their reflection in the glass is distorted while ours remains pristine. Yes, we are living in the real-life Black Mirror, and while my story aimed to highlight the absurd, lighter side of how technology inconveniences us, we can't ignore the very real ways it's tearing us apart. With each minor annoyance, every laughable glitch, we drift closer to disappearing into our own distorted reflection.
What month did you say? This is in 2024.
June.
Okay, June. Well, we have that in common. Mine is recent, but it's in October. But would you ever ride in a car like that?
I was actually asking myself that same question earlier today when I was kind of editing some of the story. I wanted to put it in the story, but I didn't. It was especially weird for me because where we live, we don't encounter anything like this.
Right.
For me and like my family and my other friends, it's just like, oh, I saw a Google Street View car the other day. Like, how crazy that I shared the road with a not person.
Yeah.
But these other cities are sitting here with these fully driverless cars taking them around. Would I ever do it? You know, this may age really weird. In like 10 years, everybody's going to be like, you idiots. But
I know.
I kind of imagine what it must be like sitting in a passenger seat of a car with no one else driving in an empty vehicle. I would feel so helpless. Like, let's say this thing was about to drive me off a bridge or something. And as I'm like going off of this weird Fast and Furious style ramp or something, I'm just like, I can see why this was a bad idea.
I know. I feel like there's just too much room for error. But then again, how many stories do we talk about where there is human error behind the wheel?
Exactly.
So, I mean, you're doomed if you do and doomed if you don't.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was trying to get at with this story too, is like we all react like idiots on the road sometimes. Mm-hmm. And when I go to the city, especially in Kansas City, I'm getting tripped up by bad construction signage all the time. And how many times has a cop been near you and flipped on their lights and you did the biggest jackass move of your life trying to just get out of their way?
Right. Yeah.
Because even though it's an autonomous AI system or whatever, it is still having to react to a human.
Right.
So it's like, how can an AI, artificial intelligence, it's a lot of pressure to be like, oh, you weren't prepared for what I was about to do. And it's like, you're a human. I have no idea what you're going to do. You're nutty. We tell weird stories about what weird people do all the time.
I know.
So in my opinion, I don't think it's fair for this story to have really gotten this much attention because he said, oh, it took off me and went past the red light. But in a lot of articles I read, these things are made to detect sirens and detect when like emergency vehicles are on the road, and they're supposed to get out of the way. And if you're already in a construction area and there's like one ways and stuff, and there's a cop behind you that flips on their light,
yeah,
you're going to get the hell out of the way.
Yeah, that would disorient any of us.
Yeah,
but
we've all ran red lights when cops are behind us. Well, maybe we all haven't.
I mean, I have.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a cop behind you and you're like in the middle of an intersection, you're going to finish through.
Yeah.
In the body cam, I kind of made the cop seem a little overly dramatic. The words he was using was kind of overly dramatic, but he seemed like a pretty all right guy. It was more of the news that was making it super dramatic. One thing that I find really inspiring about writing our stories is just the way that the news handles things. We've talked about it all the time. Sometimes somebody makes an article so damn dramatic, and I'm like, why is this dramatic?
Like, you need to calm down.
Yes, it's kind of made me see just how much the news does kind of control us, because it's telling this story, but the whole message that I got by the end of it was do not trust autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
And I looked back at it and I'm like, what happened here isn't as scary as they said it was. Like, there are some instances where they've had issues, sure.
Yeah.
But like in this particular one, even looking at everything and how it was shown, there wasn't actually a weird, stupid hold time. The guy came up on the phone, was very helpful. And in the little bit of the body cam stuff they showed, a dude in a little Waymo orange vest showed up and was just like, oh, hey, I'm a guy who can work on it if there's a problem. So they handled it really well. But a lot of that article was very quick to say stuff about how that industry is not safe and everything. So it's like, I could tell there was an agenda to the whole thing.
Yeah.
But even on the Fox coverage of it, they had said like, a cop witnessed a driverless vehicle going haywire. When they say haywire, it shows a police cam of a car. The police car is just following a Waymo vehicle. And as he turns, they do this really campy video effect that splits it into 4 screens real quick. And then the color effects change. And it was just a way to kind of make him turning in traffic look more exciting, because it was a slow turn in traffic, but the camera's just like, haywire, black and white, 4 pictures. Like, you're doing your best to make the most boring footage look exciting.
Look like it's going haywire.
Yes.
Robot cars, they're just like us.
Yeah, they are just like us. No shade to the police officer. I was just trying to show some of the dramatics in the articles, because I could tell that his tone was just like, I'm kind of confused by this. And I could tell he didn't trust the vehicle. But at the same time, he wasn't like an asshole or anything.
Yeah, he wasn't the one writing the dramatic articles online.
No.
That would be weird. I still remember when I was in LA with my sister-in-law and we saw that.
Oh, the cart thing.
Yeah, it was like a food delivering cart that was just like a little robot cart delivering food to go or whatever. I was like, what? All around the world, people listening, I'm sure there are people that have experienced that. That was just my first time.
I don't think I would ride in one now, but I'm not completely closed-minded to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
just something we're not used to.
Yeah.
Seems much more foreign to us than other people, probably.
Think about how that really would be for a cop, though. That's like the self-checkout of traffic stops.
Seriously.
It's like, I'm not dealing with a person. I have to sit here on the side of the road while having a phone call with a car.
You have to type in your own produce.
Yeah. And then by the very end of it, they say, oh, well, we looked at the cameras and we think that the car made a great choice. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for calling.
Yeah.
Wow, that is crazy. You're going to have to help me with connections.
Okay.
For sure. But like I said, they're both recent stories from the news, but that just isn't good enough for me.
No, it's not. I don't care how small it is. We will connect.
My story this week was too perfect to pass up. This is an unnamed criminal, so I did have to falsify the name, which did work to my advantage for a few of my jokes. So that was good. And also, everybody, just a reminder, if you sign up for our felony level, I can use your name. I won't have to falsify the name.
Yeah, and now we just remembered, when there's an unnamed criminal, we can make you the criminal.
Yes. Anyways, this story caused me to do some research on a subject I knew nearly nothing about. And it kind of fits the vibe of chilly weather that's been coming through. So here we go. A lot of cold-blooded crimes can take place on the frozen tundra of an ice skating rink. Hockey players knock each other's teeth out for fun. Dumb adolescents will dare one another to stick their tongue to the ice. And you'd be surprised to hear what wannabe figure skaters do just to land the perfect triple axel jump.
Hey, got any steroids hidden in your skates?
It's a lawless land out on the ice rink. Skaters speed around with sharp weapons attached to their feet, with barely any supervision, making these glacial locations the perfect place for a petty criminal to let out their frigid side. So lace up and buck up, because this next tale may leave you frozen in horror. Growing up as a young boy in Quebec, Canada in the early 2000s, becoming a hockey player was a non-negotiable for most families, and Jack's was no different. He remembered spending many earlies with his father out on the ice. His dad had played college hockey back in the day and made sure that everyone knew it.
I know how to work a stick. I played hockey in college.
Unfortunately for Jack, he was expected to follow in his dad's skate tracks. During these practices with his father at dawn, they skated laps, shot goals, and ended with a game of one-on-one. There was a particular memory Jack had of him as a 9-year-old who just got destroyed in the rink by his pops.
I kicked your ass, kid.
After the game, the father and son sat down for a heart-to-heart that stayed with Jack throughout the years.
I would say good game, son, but that simply just isn't true.
I'm sorry, Dad. I know I can get faster.
Jack squeaked back to his intimidating elder.
Jack, you aren't just slow. You're basically stagnant on the ice. I saw a Zamboni machine moving quicker than you yesterday. The kids at school give you the nickname Jack Frost, for God's sake.
Jack hunched over, realizing he was worse than he thought.
Maybe once I'm 10, my legs will get longer, and I'll get faster?
Jack asked, with little hope left in his voice.
I don't know, kid, but even still, your stick handling and slap shots are weak. We've got a lot of work to do to get you on a hockey team one day.
Jack could remember the conversation clearly, even years later in 2024. He was now a 25-year-old man, but the words still cut deep. Jack had spent the years in between trying to impress his dad on and off the ice. He had earned straight C's on his report cards, was a gentleman to all his girlfriends.
After you, miss.
And even got to play on a select few hockey teams that accepted everyone.
All of you get a participation trophy this year.
Only none of it was good enough for his father. Today, Jack still felt the pain of his dad's disappointment. But with the help of another Jack Daniels, he was able to numb the negativity and focus on his future. His current life wasn't exactly how he imagined it. It turns out that straight C's weren't as impressive to colleges as he had thought. Plus, it seemed that all of his girlfriends preferred ass clowns over a gentleman like himself. The only thing keeping Jack going was that he was hitting the ice soon. It was an October evening inside a jam-packed hockey stadium. Jack stood near the locker rooms, admiring the rambunctious crowd.
Fuck yeah! Break each other's bones!
It was a busy day at the rink, with the schedule full from the day's hockey tournament. Jack was next to take the ice after the current game was finished. He used his free time to enjoy the competition between the other players while secretly sipping liquor from a water bottle. The game was in its third and final period, with only 10 minutes left on the clock and a tied score. Jack watched in awe as the competitive players skated like graceful gazelles from the waist down and sported mega muscles, missing canines and aggression from the waist up. The rest of the game was full of sticks cracking, pucks slapping, and penalty box meltdowns.
I'm in a plastic cage of emotion!
As the time started to run out on the clock, the blue team skated around the red defenders, causing the perfect breakaway. Their best forward was left with a clear shot to score and took it, sending the puck whizzing past the goaltender and deep into the net. Jack put his water bottle down, popped his neck, and stretched, knowing it was almost time for him to perform. He watched as both the red and blue teams exited the rink and went down into their respective locker rooms. He took a deep breath. Although he knew his father wouldn't be proud of his position, Jack could hold his head high, knowing that at least he had made it this far. Jack inched closer to the edge of the ice, where he stopped and grabbed a set of keys. He started up an old ignition and took his place in the rink, riding a Zamboni machine. Sure, would Jack have preferred to be an actual hockey player who was lining up to play the next game? Absolutely. But instead, he found himself driving the world's slowest machine on ice. Rather than playing in front of a full audience, he rode a sluggish machine that scrapes off a thin layer of ice and replaces it with warm water that freezes out smoothly during intermission. During this leisurely stroll, there was no way for Jack to outrun his intrusive thoughts. He heard his father's voice echoing in his mind.
Your stick handling and slap shots are weak. You're basically stagnant on the ice.
Jack closed his eyes and tried to shake off the bitterly cold words of his past, but was suddenly interrupted by a referee skating close by.
Hey, watch out, man! You almost hit me, and you're about to crash into that wall.
On October 21st, 2024, an unnamed 25-year-old Zamboni driver was arrested on suspicion of impaired driving. The incident took place at the Meredith Center Arena in Chelsea, a municipality in Quebec, Canada. According to witnesses and authorities, multiple people were concerned that the Zamboni operator showed signs that he was driving while impaired, cleaning the ice between two games. This behavior motivated one spectator to call the police. Shortly after, video surveillance footage from the stands captured a referee skating close to the driver. They appeared to have a brief exchange before the Zamboni heads straight for the rink wall, hitting it with a loud crash. When police arrived at the arena, they administered a sobriety test and arrested the rink employee. Police also stated that no one was hurt and the only damage done was to a door on the rink wall. The Zamboni operator was released on a promise to appear at a later court date, with no listed punishments found online. Whether or not you have weak ankles or loose morals, I hope you all now see just how dangerous an ice skating rink can be. Not only could you contract frostbite or jockstrap itch from not wearing the appropriate undergarments, you could also end up with a crime on your record. So the next time you want to break the ice on the rink, I hope you get cold feet instead.
I like the cold feet pun.
Thank you.
But a Zamboni driver.
Did that catch you by surprise? I wanted everyone to think that he was about to hit the ice as a hockey star.
You said he found himself on the ice or whatever.
Yeah.
So it finally hit it at a certain point. I was like, oh, he's going to be the Zamboni driver. But that's awesome.
And I made sure in that little scene that we did as father and son at the beginning, I made sure that the dad talked about a Zamboni machine, comparing him to how slow he was, because I wanted to tie it all in. But yeah, I wanted to give a little twist and make it seem like he was, going to make his dad proud.
Yeah, giving him the background of like a training little hockey boy.
I have no idea this man's past. I don't even know his name. He's unnamed. I wanted to have some fun, talk about weird dads trying to push their, sons to be the athlete they never were. Those kind of stories always fascinate me.
Like a dance mom for dads?
Yes, exactly. I just thought it'd be really freaking comical to build it up all the hockey shit and him just be the one cleaning the ice.
Yeah, it finally hit me halfway through. I was like, oh, that's what you're talking about. The thing that you had to teach yourself that you didn't know a lot about was hockey.
Hockey. I know what a breakaway is now. I know what a slap shot is. I know that there's 6 players on a team on the ice at the same time. And they have 3 different intervals and they're 20 minutes long.
Oh, I didn't realize it was 3.
Yeah. I learned a lot about hockey.
That's nice.
A lot of different terms and everything, which I've only been to one game personally ever. And I loved it, actually. I really liked it. And I wanted to make sure that I described it the way that I did because I experienced it as they were skating like graceful gazelles from the waist down, but they were like these aggressive giant men on the top.
They're so just solid up top, but on the lower part, they're just wee, wee, wee.
And their
wee
footwork is amazing. And the stick handling, as it's called.
Yeah, I don't like skating that much. I would never do that.
Yeah, it's a lot to do at once. So I do have mad respect, even though a lot of them seem to be missing teeth.
Well, I mean, that's going to happen when you don't have good ability to stop sometimes.
Yeah, or you just want to get in a freaking fight.
Yeah, people like that too.
It's crazy.
I didn't quite understand how a Zamboni machine worked until you explained that. So that's good to know because I knew the name of that machine was a Zamboni machine, but
yes.
I just always thought with the way it moves that it kind of just sanded it. I didn't think about leaving a little bit of water behind too,
right.
Which makes sense because you can't sand it forever. It would have to eventually...
It'd have to build back up. Yeah, I did not know how they worked either. I'm not a person who has frequented the ice rinks often. No shade, not something we do.
No, it's not that big around here. I mean, that one place with the train that you take the kids, they have a hockey rink right there. But if you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't know.
Yes. And I know hockey's like a big thing, especially in Canada. So I tried to do my research. To those listening, I hope I did okay. I just had to throw in some basic knowledge in there, but I tried. But yeah, I found the Zamboni to be fascinating as well. Also, I learned that they don't typically go over 10 miles per hour. It's like 9.6 or something is what a Zamboni usually tops out at.
They do move very slowly.
Very slowly. So I also just thought that was funny as hell that it was like a slow crash.
Yeah, he couldn't stop it.
He had so much opportunity to avoid it. We'll share the video. I'll share everything we got. But I had very little to work with because I didn't know the guy. And I just had this small little clip, basically, to go with.
Yeah, we both didn't have a whole lot to go off of. I didn't want to use the cop's name because I had changed him up so much I didn't think he deserved to have his real name.
Yeah.
Because that's not really fair. But yeah, we didn't have a whole lot to go off of. If I had to make a connection, I say strange vehicles.
That's true.
The Zamboni's different, and the Waymo thing was... I mean, a driverless car we've never done.
That's so damn true.
Even though it is still a car. I was just thinking, like, what sound effect am I going to use for a Zamboni machine? Like, I don't know if I can find that.
Don't quote me on this. I think it's just like a very gentle hum type sound.
Yeah, I was thinking about like an electric floor buffer or something like that.
Yes.
That's kind of what I was thinking. That's the beauty of being a sound design person is you have to improvise in really weird spots, and sometimes you just go find something similar and make that work.
Yeah. I doubt there's like Zamboni sound effect out there. Maybe, but I doubt it.
There might be, but depending on what collection, it depends on who you pay for because you have to have certain sound effect collections.
Damn. But yeah, that's so damn true. We had really weird vehicles of crime. Weird ways of getting to the crime.
Vehicles of crime.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. I still just can't imagine being drunk on a Zamboni. And I mean, you'd have to be like asleep on it as slow as that thing moves.
It's so slow. And all you have to do, you can be wasted. Whatever. I mean, I wouldn't encourage it, but all you have to do is just slightly turn the wheel. Just slightly.
It'll take you a while, but you'll get going again. I wish it said what the damage amount was.
Same. I wish there was a lot more follow-up. I literally could not find anything. I don't even know if he was like officially charged. I know what he was arrested on, and I know that they did the...
breathalyzed him or whatever?
They breathalyzed him and did all of that. But yeah, no punishment, no follow-ups whatsoever, nothing.
Also have the chance of maybe no punishments on both of ours,
True. Because I don't even know if I assumed he got fired from the rink, but that wasn't even stated for me.
It probably just ended up being a very big community story of everybody being like, yo... Jack
Frost.
Jack got fired last night.
He needs to go chill out some more.
And everybody saw it.
Oh my God, I love those kind of town gossip stories though. Because this is not obviously a worldwide crime.
No, not at all. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't get charged just because it's like, well, he was just on a Zamboni.
Just go home, Jack. Sleep it off, idiot.
You are fired, but you're not in too much trouble.
Oh my God. Well, what a time. I hope that everyone is ready for our holiday special next week.
Yes. I still haven't figured out what we're going to do for the rest of the year, but that will be the last of like the legit episodes for the year.
Yeah.
And then January, we're going to do some interesting stuff for you. We're going to have some guests and do some different things. And early January, you'll be seeing our new and improved social media.
Yes. Can't wait for it all, you guys. And just remember, no matter the crime, big or small, in the end, we're all doomed.
Doomed to find our community.
Bye.
See ya.
You don't have to fly all the way up to the outer stratosphere to get bonus content. Instead, float on over to our Patreon, movie nights, ad-free episodes, and get your name mentioned in a story.
And if you're looking to boost your community, join our community. Find us on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or Threads. And we can talk about finding our community outside of the internet too.
And have you ever gotten a little tipsy while driving a Zamboni machine? If so, send us your petty crime story. livelaughlarceny@gmail.com.
And give our show the same rating you'd give Brussels sprouts for doing the thoughtful thing of getting tastier for us all. Give us 5 stars wherever you rate podcasts, Apple, Spotify, or Good Pods.
Dry spot in my throat again.
God.
I'm just giving up being a podcaster. I'm just gonna go.
We'll have to get you some I don't even know, throat coating oil, like old people cod liver oil or something.
Am I old as hell?
We just clear our throats like old people.
You paused, Trevin. You paused.
Well, we carry ourselves in old ways.
He's like, you're not old. You just carry yourself as an old bitch.
Is that better?
Kinda. I'll take it.